There is a moment right before everything changes when the world goes completely silent. Not the silence of peace, not the silence of safety, the silence of something ancient waking up. This is that moment. The Valley of Elah stretches out like an open wound in the earth. Two armies camped on opposite hillsides, staring at each other across a narrow throat of land neither side dares to cross. On one side, the Philistines, disciplined, armed, confident. On the other, Israel, outnumbered, exhausted, afraid. For 40 days, this has been the standoff. Dawn comes, a shadow falls across the valley floor, and every soldier in Saul's army takes one quiet step backward, because the shadow belongs to Goliath, 9 feet tall, bronze helmet, coat of mail so heavy it could crush a horse, a spear like a weaver's beam, a shield bearer who walks ahead of him just to carry the thing that catches arrows. And every single morning Goliath does the same thing. He walks to the center of the valley, looks up at the trembling army of Israel, and asks one question: Is there not a man among you? 40 mornings, 40 humiliations, 40 silences, until today. He doesn't arrive like a warrior. He arrives like someone who got lost on the way to deliver bread. Because that's exactly what he is. His name is David, youngest of 8 sons, a shepherd boy from Bethlehem. His father Jesse sent him to the front lines not to fight, but to bring food to his older brothers and bring back news of how the battle was going. There is no battle going. That's the news. David weaves through the camp, finds his brothers, starts asking questions about, and that's when the ground shakes. Goliath has stepped into the valley again. Same speech, same posture, same contempt, and every soldier, veterans, trained men, men who have seen war, starts backing up. David watches this. He doesn't back up. He asks almost to himself, who is this man that he should defy the armies of the living God? His oldest brother Eliab turns on him immediately. There's embarrassment in his voice and something sharper under it, the particular cruelty of a man who knows he should be braver than he is. Go back to your sheep, Eliab says. You came here just to watch the fighting. But the question David asked has already started spreading through the camp like a fire catching dry grass. Someone hears it, then someone else. It reaches an officer. The officer tells someone higher. And somehow, impossibly, it reaches King Saul. Saul summons the boy. King Saul, head and shoulders taller than any man in Israel, the most physically imposing king the nation has ever had, sitting on his throne, staring at a shepherd boy who has just volunteered to fight the monster that has paralyzed his entire army. The silence in that tent must have been extraordinary. You cannot go out against this Philistine, Saul says finally. You are just a boy. He has been a fighting man since his youth. And David, without flinching, without hesitation, begins to speak. He doesn't give a military strategy. He doesn't recite battle statistics. He tells a story. I have been keeping my father's sheep, he says. When a lion came and carried off one of the lambs, I went after it, struck it, and rescued the lamb from its mouth. When it turned on me, I seized it by its hair and struck it and killed it. I have killed both the lion and the bear. This uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them because he has defied the armies of the living God. There is something in David's voice in this moment that the film captures perfectly. It isn't arrogance, it isn't recklessness. It is the calm certainty of someone who has already seen what God can do, not in a temple, not in a crowd, not with thousands watching, but alone, in the dark, with a predator's jaw at his face, and nothing between him and death except his own hands and whatever was sustaining them. He had already fought in the dark. He already knew who was with him. Goliath, by comparison, was just a very large lion. Saul looks at this boy for a long moment, and then, against every military instinct he has, he says, "Go, and may the Lord be with you." What happens next is one of the most quietly powerful moments in the film. Saul tries to dress David in his own armor, bronze helmet, coat of mail, sword at his side. David puts it all on, tries to walk. He can't. Not because he's weak, but because it isn't his. He's never trained in it, never moved in it, never fought in it. He takes it all off. He picks up his staff. He walks to the nearest stream, and he bends down and selects 5 smooth stones from the riverbed, one by one, and puts them in his shepherd's pouch. 5 stones. Not 1, not 10. 5. Enough to fight Goliath, and enough to fight Goliath's 4 brothers if they came for him next. This detail matters. David wasn't reckless. He was prepared. He picks up his sling, and he walks down into the valley. The Philistine army sees him coming first. Then Goliath turns. The film holds on his face for a long time in this moment, that first sight of David walking across the valley floor toward him, alone, young, a shepherd's crook in one hand and a sling in the other. And Goliath laughs. It's not performed laughter. It's the genuine, involuntary laughter of a man who cannot believe what he is seeing. He looks back at his own soldiers. They're laughing too. "Am I a dog?" Goliath calls out, "that you come at me with sticks?" He begins to curse David, invoking his gods, calling down destruction on the boy, promising to feed his body to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field. David keeps walking. He doesn't run. He doesn't slow down. He doesn't respond to a single word of the curse. He just keeps walking, steady, unhurried, completely at peace. And that stillness is somehow more unsettling to watch than if he had charged screaming. Goliath falls silent, and David speaks. "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin," David says. "But I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied." He pauses. "This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I'll strike you down and cut off your head. This very day I will give the carcasses of the Philistine army to the birds and the wild animals, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel." Everything has changed now. The laughter on the Philistine side has died. Because David isn't talking about a sword fight anymore. He isn't talking about skill or strength or strategy. He has just announced that what is about to happen in this valley isn't a battle between 2 armies. It's a declaration, a demonstration, a message, not just for Israel, not just for Philistia, but for the whole world watching from the edges of history. "The battle is the Lord's," David says, "and he will give all of you into our hands." Goliath starts moving. He is done talking. 9 feet of bronze and rage, lumbering forward with a shield bearer scrambling ahead of him, spear raised, and the ground shaking with each step. David starts running. Toward him, not away, not at an angle, toward him. His hand goes into his pouch, his fingers close around a stone. The sling is already moving, a long, practiced arc, the motion of 10,000 repetitions in empty fields, chasing off wolves in the dark, keeping the flock safe through the long nights. This is what Goliath never understood. He saw a boy. He saw a shepherd. He saw the absence of a sword. He never saw the weapon. The stone leaves the sling. The film slows everything down here, and rightly so. The stone crosses the valley in near silence. The crowd on both hillsides has stopped breathing. It strikes Goliath in the forehead, the one gap in all that armor, the one place where bronze doesn't cover, and sinks into his skull. The giant sways, and then slowly, with a terrible finality, Goliath of Gath, the champion of the Philistines, the terror of the valley, the man who made kings afraid, falls forward, face down, into the dust. The silence that follows is different from the silence at the beginning. This one has weight, this one has wonder in it. David walks to where Goliath has fallen. He stands over him. He reaches down and draws Goliath's own sword. the one David himself doesn't carry, and with it, he does exactly what he promised. On the Philistine side of the valley, something breaks. It doesn't break slowly, it breaks all at once, the way a dam gives way. One moment it holds, and the next there is nothing but chaos. The Philistine army turns and runs, and Israel, the army that has been taking one quiet step backward every morning for 40 days, suddenly surges forward with a roar that shakes the hillside. The battle is over before it truly begins. Not because of tactics, not because of numbers. Not because Israel found better weapons or trained harder or got lucky. Because one boy walked into a valley with 5 stones and a name, and the name was enough. There is something the 2025 film David Understands that a lot of retellings miss. This story isn't primarily about courage. Courage is there, of course it is. It takes courage to walk down into that valley. But courage alone doesn't explain David's composure. Courage alone doesn't explain the steadiness of his walk, the calmness in his voice, the way he delivers a declaration of victory before a single stone has flown. What explains that is faith with a track record. David had already seen this. Not this fight, not this valley, but this pattern. He knew what it felt like to be in an impossible situation and feel the strength to walk through it anyway. He had felt it with the lion. He had felt it with the bear. He wasn't guessing that God would show up in the Valley of Elah. He already knew. And that is what makes this scene in the film so extraordinary to watch. Because the most powerful thing about David in that valley isn't his aim, it's his certainty. He walks like someone who already knows how the story ends. Not because he's naive, not because he doesn't understand the danger, but because the God he trusts has already proven himself in the dark, in the quiet, in the moments nobody was watching. The whole world found out at Elah, but David had known for a long time. This scene is from David, 2025, one of the most visually stunning and emotionally powerful biblical films of the decade. If this moved you, let us know in the comments which scene you want broken down next. Do us a favor and subscribe to Gospel Grotto